Good day, my name is Simone van der Berg. My student number is 193361. Today, my first point that I will be discussing is my views on the sudden change to online teaching during COVID. In my opinion, it was a very big shock to the system. One day we were still just teaching as normal without a mask or anything like that, and the next day all the children had to be sent home with their DBE books, and suddenly we don't know how long it will be before we can actually teach properly. In our area, where my school is, we are in a quite poor area. 90 to 95% of our children come out of the locations. So, I mean, a lot of them stay in shacks. A lot of their parents only have the small Nokia telephones that can't even take WhatsApp. So that was very difficult for us to create WhatsApp groups to just make it easier to communicate the work and our expectations to the parents. After we got most of them to be able to download WhatsApp, it was then another challenge to share YouTube videos to them, especially the Afrikaans YouTube videos, because after coming over that first hurdle that they can't download WhatsApp, we had a new hurdle that they don't have access to Wi-Fi and the YouTube videos take too much of their data. So it was really, really a challenge, especially in our school. So I'm glad that we are back to normal. My second point is my experience regarding the transition. I definitely saw that as humans, we are quite adaptable. And it doesn't matter what the circumstances are, if it's thrown at us as teachers and people, we are very resilient. We are always up for a challenge, and we just find a way to make it work. I mean, if someone had to say to us before 2020 that you'll have to do your job without having the ability to stand in front of a class of children, but still you'll have to teach them, we would have been like, what do you mean? So here we are 3 years later, and we made it, and we made it work. And those children that were in grade 1 are now in grade 4, and they are striving. So we made it. That's just the thing, is that we had to make it work, and we did. So that's great. My third point is my challenges during this time. So I actually already touched on that by my first point, is that our challenges was that our school is based in a very poor community. So a lot of them, their phones couldn't take WhatsApp, and that was our game plan, is to make WhatsApp groups for the class so that it's easier to put the work on the group at once, and then the parents can get to the work as they have time. But not all of the parents had access to smartphones or even just phones that could take WhatsApp. So that was our first hurdle. Once we got over that, it was the hurdle that them staying in the locations, they didn't really have access to Wi-Fi. So us wanting to send, because my school, the home language for our school is English, and our first additional language is Afrikaans. But our community is mostly black, so most of the parents cannot speak Afrikaans. So our game plan for Afrikaans was to send YouTube videos, and even some of the maths sums for our grade 3 learners was to send YouTube videos where the YouTube will pronunciate the Afrikaans words the right way to help the parents and the learners, and the maths would explain it step by step. And even for us to make our own videos and upload it was a challenge, because we have a lot of older teachers at my school, so they weren't They didn't have the confidence to make a video, to still teach, but they were now nervous because the parents was going to see that video as well. And another thing is you can only load up to 1.5 minutes video onto WhatsApp. Now, how do you do a whole lesson in 1.5 minutes? We couldn't transition onto Google Classroom because, like I said, our school is based in a very poor community. So the parents don't mostly have access to Wi-Fi. So those were our challenges, and they were tough. So that is why we resulted then in giving their Afrikaans, maths, English, and life skill DBE books for them to take home in that time. That was only supposed to be 2 weeks. That ended up being months. So they had that, but nothing can beat a teacher. So that was our, like I've said a few times now, our game plan to get through it. And it was difficult, but we made it. My next plan topic that I'll talk about is suggestions to improve online teaching. It's very difficult to improve it because, especially thinking around the circumstances where my school is based, is how do you improve that? Because first of all, the children don't have access to get onto the internet, to take part in online teaching, in online classes. So that's a very difficult topic for me to cover, because it's another thing if you are in a middle class to rich environment, and you know that your parents can afford it and that they do have access to laptops and Wi-Fi and all of that, but it was a challenge just for us to get YouTube videos across to them. So actually in circumstances like with my school, it's next to impossible to improve online teaching because they just don't have access to laptops, to iPads, to smartphones, and to Wi-Fi, which is crucial in a situation of online teaching. So that is a very difficult topic to cover, and I'm thankful that COVID is over and that we are back to normal. My last point will be accommodating learners in underprivileged schools without access to online resources. So this is when my school, we even went back earlier before the Minister of Education allowed us to, just because we realized months and months have passed now, and there's some of our children that they just never got onto those WhatsApp groups because their parents didn't have phones that was WhatsApp compatible. Some of them never could watch the Afrikaans videos. They could never watch the maths videos. So it was a challenge, and we realized we cannot now just sit and wait for COVID to pass. We really have to make a plan. So what we did is we started going back to school, but the classes were broken up basically in half, so that each child has their own desk. So only half of the class came to school on a day, and then the next day would be their off day, and then the other students would come, the other half. So that would be my suggestion even now. So it would just be a rotational cycle where certain students, that group, would come to school 3 times a week the one week and only 2 the next. So still they would lose time, but not as much as just sitting at home. And that would be my way of accommodating underprivileged learners, because 90% of the time they do have transport to get to school, to come to school, to be active in school, but they don't have the resources to take part in online school. So that was my discussion on my 5 points. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video.